Sorry, my phone cut out. It's alright, I got it on charge now. Hello again. I am with Blockade Australia on a tripod blocking coal rail into the world's largest coal port in Newcastle on Warramai in Awabakal country, in which sovereignty was never ceded. This is stolen land and it's being destroyed. And Blockade Australia is taking direct action against that. This whole week there have been actions on this rail, ensuring that real material resistance occurs to this machine of continual, endless growth that is tearing apart our country, choking our atmosphere, and ensuring our destruction. And so material resistance is the only way we can really combat that. The negotiating tables are now exclusively run by the elites, the corporate and governmental friends. It's a marriage that should never have been arranged. It's a marriage that is dangerous and destructive, and it's a marriage that we will separate with actions like this. Yeah, I'm 25 years old, and I've always been an advocate for environmental change, but it's mostly been a vocal one. It's mostly come from here, my heart. But the crisis we're facing is really requiring us to put our bodies on the line. And it's amazing. One human body is valuable enough to stop millions of dollars of coal. Yeah, we actually do value each other because my one little body of flesh is enough to stop hundreds of thousands of tons of steel and coal from moving. And I think that says a lot. I think that says that we do care about one another. At some deep level, I am more important than, and any human being, individual, is more important than the coal and the fossil fuels that are being moved around the world in insane wastage systems. And that underlying truth that a human being is more important than profit, we are forcing the system to confront that by getting in the way. We are forcing it to acknowledge that. Because the system as it runs, business as usual, it doesn't acknowledge that. And actually human lives are lost and human beings suffer in faraway parts of the world, and not even so far away parts of the world, but under the guise and under the below the gaze of the system itself and the wide media. And those human lives are as important, are more important, and so they must be protected. And we must now confront the material system with our material bodies. And that's a beautiful thing, because that actually shows to us that things that are alive are more important and they're beautiful. And the way we're going, we're not going to have much alive anymore. Biodiversity loss has never been higher in the history of Homo sapiens, at least. And extinction is around the corner for countless vulnerable species. And humans just keep on taking. And I think a human being is actually got a lot more value and a lot more morals than what we're seeing in the broad corporate governance system. And I think that even those who are implicit, complicit, and active in that system have all the same qualities that could flourish in a healthy, beautiful, local, resilient community. But those qualities aren't being encouraged right now. The commodification of the entire world is encouraging us to let those morals and qualities go by the wayside so that we can make more money. Cold, dead, plastic money. Most of it's actually computer bits now. Still not alive, still not a beautiful, sentient being. My leg's going a bit numb, actually. I'm just gonna rejig. And words failing me right now, so I'm just gonna smile. Ah, leg is sweet. I can feel the blood rushing. Blood's rushing back. All good. Does everyone want to feel into their bodies and see how, I'm like sitting in a very interesting place right now. It's my reality right now, but wherever you're sitting, feel into your body and your heart and look around and see what's around you, and perhaps think about how your life reflects your values and what parts of your life have been, or what parts of your values are you not able to reflect because you've been unconsensually roped into a system that that forces you to externalize all those values and forces you to work in places you don't want to. Because actually you can feel all that in your body, and I'm feeling it really here at the moment. It's like a big space for me, and I think that's why I got involved. It's just been a request for me to talk about my inspiration, and so a few months ago I went to a gathering in Gosford, Central Coast, and it was a beautiful drum circle with the intention to protect a sacred forest that was going to be logged for development, and there were some activists speaking, and a couple of those activists gave such a beautiful speech that I was actually in tears. And I went up to them after, and they spoke about how they had a successful campaign in Olney State Forest to get the logging suspended, and it brought me to tears. And so I spoke to them after and expressed how amazed I was that people like that are doing what they're doing. And I think that was the trigger point for me. I knew that there was nothing more important, and so I sublet my room and I went to 2 forest blockades in New South Wales and started defending country. And that led me here to Blockade Australia, which is launched this week to target coal, the extractive and destructive and dangerous coal industry. Equally as important as protecting our forests, equally as important as protecting our waterways, actually inextricably linked to protecting those things. Equally as important as stopping gas and fracking, oil extraction, mineral extraction, and the continual abuses and exploitations of people and country on this continent. Australia is a system that is not designed to meet all the needs of the diversity of this continent. It's designed to turn all of that into money and ensure that a few people get rich and the rest of us are dependent on those who are rich. And that's sinking. That system's collapsing, and it'll collapse fast. Faster and faster. Blockade Australia. Blockade Australia is going to be in Sydney next year in June, and mobilising to disrupt real economic activity. Sydney is kind of the centre of where all the money moves, and you know, this is the centre of where the coal moves, but where the money moves is how the system kind of operates. And we have to get in the way of money in order to protect country. My visitors have gone now. I'm all alone. I wish I was better at bird identification. There's a few around. I grew up in Sydney, very urban. Nature was always a kind of somewhere I visited. There were some obviously beautiful spots where I lived, but only when I lived extended time in the forest and in other beautiful places did I come back to the city with a feeling of real sadness, actually, that where I previously saw a concrete environment with some trees and greenery scattered in it, I came back from the forest and saw soil that was paved over and bushland that I saw the trees before I saw the concrete and the pavement, and that was a real shift in my perspective. Going back to the same places that I grew up going to, and just growing up in the city, my conditions were such that I saw the human-made environment before I saw the natural environment. That's how my eyes and my body was trained to react to the world. And that's really changed for me, particularly this year. I came back to the city and I saw the country for what it was. Beautiful bushland. Still some beautiful old growth trees scattered around Sydney, and a bunch of pavement, a bunch of concrete, and a bunch of high rises. And I really felt that, and I feel the violence of that. Violence isn't just against each other, but the violence of moving such vast amounts of resources and building structures that allow people to keep perpetuating a system that's damaging us. It's a violence. And then you sit in nature, you sit in the forest, or you sit by a river, or anywhere that means a lot to you, and you don't see violence. You see natural violence among different species, but you see a harmonious balance and ecology that in which death is a beautiful natural part. But the system we're currently enslaved in is emphasizing death and destruction so much more than it's emphasizing new life. Hang on, there's some beautiful birds. Have a look. Oh, they're coming to give their support. Hey guys. I'm sure there were way more of you back in the day. Now just one little flock. Come sit. No. Okay, they're gone. That'd be nice. I wonder if they like sat and if the train would stop for them. Probably not, hey. Just some Jonah thoughts. What are some more Jonah thoughts? That gotta stop fucking killing the world. Gotta stop destroying this continent as if, you know, one generation of human beings is worth millions of years of beautiful geological formation, beautiful biological diversity formation, and yeah, the human ego really makes us think that, you know, our short little stint here is worth all that destruction. And it ain't. Can't see the comments anymore. How do I do that? Oh, there we go. It feels pretty amazing. There's a lot of fear involved, actually. There's a lot of fear coming up to this moment for me. I think because, you know, we're all entwined in the system in which we're fighting against, and taking action like this really is making me. It's not over. Really is making me confront the very machine in which I was born into, and it's really making me confront all the values and material conditions that I grew up in, and it's quite hard to look at your nest and turn against it once you realize that it's toxic. But we are growing and living in a toxic nest, and that nest is the corporate political marriage, divorce time. And yeah, I was describing this knot in my heart space earlier, and that's probably the dominant feeling for me. It's a knot between two kind of core ropes, and that's one of them is love. The most dominant one is love, and that's what this act is, and every act you've seen this week is one of love, and that sits mostly in my heart. And the other rope that's knotted up in that is that fear of confronting a system that is too strong. That's quite scary, and it might seem that this kind of activity is extreme, unnecessary, but it's entirely necessary. there's no way we can convince people making endless money to feel into their heart. It might be possible for a couple, but it's not going to be possible for most of them. Not in the time we need. I'd love to sit down and meditate with them, but I don't think we have that time. The world's dying. And so it's sad that we can't sit and actually all, feel into our collective being and all shift to doing what's right. But for those that are doing that, I thank you. And the world thanks you. And Blockade Australia and everyone involved thanks you for however you're contributing. And you should join us. You should join us, and you should share this video, and you should follow our movements, because next year in Sydney, we're going to go again. And yeah, I feel really content right now, actually. It's funny, it's like most of the emotion, I guess, happens in the thinking about doing this, or for me it did. But right now I'm like, obviously this is what I should be doing. There's nothing else more important, really. And the legal system that makes us believe that what I'm doing is illegal and what they're doing is legal and justified, that's a lie. Like that's a big old lie. I'm sitting on a tripod watching the sunrise and saying hello to birds, and that mob is like digging up the earth and sending it to other sides of the world to be burnt. So when you want to talk about violence, that's what we should be talking about. This is non-violent direct action, and no one who practices the values of non-violent direct action will ever raise a finger, because we will not sink to the level of violence that we're opposing. We never will. It's a real challenge to actually hold the values of non-violent direct action and knowing what's coming if we don't act, and holding them together, because I suppose extreme action in a lot of parts of the world is necessary, and yeah, to hold those two in balance is quite a challenge, but this is a great way to do it. And tripods balance pretty well, so find yourself one of those and chuck it up somewhere that'll block some shit. I'm just rambling, but did want to talk about something else. What was it? Oh yeah, jobs. Jobs are great. What's not great is that that communities and people are convinced and forced to work in jobs that destroy their home and destroy the planet, under the guise of economic security. If we had real leadership, we'd have support for strong local resilient communities, not for a global disconnected, disjointed, dysfunctional system. We'd have leadership that actually sees the value of a human being, not the value of a material or a resource. And so jobs, nothing that we're doing is with any intention to compromise the well-being or the jobs of people who may be affected by this action. I actually love those people, I think, more than their bosses. And I actually want them to, all their needs to be met. I want them you know, not to have to be part of industry that is so destructive in order to meet their needs. You know, like if we had real leadership, we'd actually look at the needs of the people who live here and we'll meet them. And that's not what this industry is about. That's not what moving millions of tons of coal is about, meeting human needs and meeting ecological needs. It's about money. It's about cold, dead money. Turning the world into money. And that's not a project I'll be a part of. That's a project I'm taking every effort to step back from and to counteract. And I encourage you to do the same. If you're just tuning in, my name's Jonah. I'm 25 and I'm on a tripod blocking the rail into the world's largest coal port here in Warramai in Awabakal country. Got a visitor. It's in a car. It's all good. And actions like this are necessary because our government and our corporate marriage is not listening. Oh, my heart just started racing a bit again. I'm just keeping you guys fully in the loop of my bodily activities as well as my thoughts. Jonah thoughts, Jonah heart, Jonah leg. Still a bit numb, but it's alright. Let's shift it around a bit. Yeah. So, meeting the needs of the workers who may be affected by this is that nothing we're doing is in direct conflict with those people. What we're doing is direct conflict with the corporate governance marriage that we are opposing, in which those people are also to some degree slaves. And yeah, those people, everyone involved in extractive industries deserve to live in safe, beautiful community as well. Anyone that's thinking of getting involved in action, I would just say to evaluate and have a good look at how you spend your time and what's of real value, and anything you can find that is of more value to the planet and to the macro picture and the macro health of your surroundings. That's what you should be doing with your time. And this is a pretty cool thing to be doing, and Blockade Australia can get you on one of these as well. And so I'd say definitely be following our movements and other real material resistance. Sign petitions, but don't expect much from them. Write to your MPs, but don't expect too much from them either, because they are trapped and you are free. We're actually all free, despite what we're made to believe. And however you can, not within the confines of a legal system that's protected, or that's designed to protect vested interests, but however you can counteract that. Review time. So that's the train line, and that's it in the other direction. No trains in sight because they are being blocked by a tripod set up by Blockade Australia to resist climate inaction and resist material destruction of this country. I actually always had a fascination with trains as a kid. I used to just get on the line in Sydney and go to the last stop and come back and tell my mum I was going to a movie. And I don't know, I just really like trains. I never thought I'd be blocking one, or blocking many. Yeah, there's something about moving on a train that's it's really soothing, and I don't think the coal can really experience that, but I certainly do as a human. Yeah, this is the last thing I thought I'd be doing as a kid. It's a shame that I have to, actually. You know, when I was a kid, we were hearing the same things that we're hearing now, that it's for the future. You know, we were the future generation back then. It was for us. And we heard people older than us talking about how, you know, they want to make change for us. And now I'm coming to the age of those people that I heard speaking like that, and not much has changed. We've got a government that has zilch for a plan, and zilch for brains, and just big wallets, and that means that I have to block a train. Don't really have another option, I guess. I might have a snack. What have I got? I got something good in here. I'm gonna try to get it. There's a few fun things, fun ropes in the way. Alright. Dates and almonds. Keep me going. Not that I'm doing very much, except stopping the world's largest coal port. Nothing a few dates can't fix. Very good. I won't disgust you guys with my eating. You can look at some nice trains. Oh wait, you won't see any trains because they're stopped. That should keep me going. Anyone know some good harness exercises? I do need to keep this leg moving. Alright. If you're just joining, I'm on a tripod on a rail line on Warramai and Awabakal country, stolen land that was never ceded, blocking coal train exports into the world's largest coal port. Yeah, something that I didn't think I'd have to do, because you'd think that the systems designed to protect us would actually protect us. But no, they're failing. And so people like you and me have to actually do direct action, material resistance. Someone who did an action this week said to me that you don't have to be a bureaucrat to enact change, you just have to fucking do it. And that's kind of been the spirit of Blockade Australia, is that we can't wait for people in power, people in suits to commit to change, because their commitment to money is too strong, way too strong. And we're gonna have to step in. The sun is just peeking over. Well, it's about to. This will be one of the most interesting sunrises of my life, I reckon. I've seen some good ones, but I reckon this takes the cake. Mostly because I'm doing something that means a lot to to me and to the future of the world, and that's a really good feeling, to be watching the sunrise as I'm putting my body in front of a system that really doesn't want us to enjoy a sunrise. Doesn't really want us to enjoy the beauty of the natural world at all. Wants us to enjoy things that are purchasable, things that money can buy, but when we actually think about our real human needs, sunrise and a beautiful forest is way more important. And it's such a shame that for so long this continent was safeguarded, respected, cared for, and now it is, in the last couple hundred years, a very short time, a blip. It has been destroyed in so many vital ways. But I'm going to enjoy the sunrise while I'm here. Don't know where I'll be tomorrow morning. Maybe still here. Wouldn't that be cool? I would definitely have to find some leg exercises though. But let's see. Could sacrifice a leg, couldn't I? That'd be alright. As long as no coal leaves this country. My leg's nothing. It's a beautiful morning actually. Yeah, nice and crisp. The wind's died down. The wind yesterday this would have been a real swinging good time. But I'm hanging sweet. I'm chilling right now. Yeah. I've said a bit about commodification of nature, but it's something I've reflected on a lot, that I guess the spiritual, social and ecological needs of a human being are not being met. They're actually being actively taken in this system. And an economy that doesn't reflect those, an economy that privileges money over those vital things, is not an economy that I want to be a part of. I want to be a part of a real economy of human needs and ecological needs. I want to be a part of an economy that protects all living beings. When we think about the material world, and that is the real economy. The real economy is the material world in which we're a part, not bits on computers. And that real economy is forgotten in the current system. And I'd encourage everyone to see in what ways you can take one step out of the machine. Every step out of the machine is a good step. How can you meet your needs and the needs of your community without money, without corporate dependence? And every single time you can do that, every single inch you can step back and away from the machine, you're reclaiming what it is to be a human, and you're reclaiming what it is to be a custodian. And that's a fucking hard journey, like when the machine is so big and so strong. Yeah, we're up against a lot. But we actually can't afford not to go up against it. We can't afford to sit and wait for others to, because there'll be nothing left. There they are again. I reckon they're supporting. You just got to wonder about all the living beings that were affected and are affected by the mining, transportation, and exportation. I mean, exportation? That's a word. Of coal. Surely they and their environments have been affected beyond recognition. And when companies exploit a land, they leave, and they don't have any regard for the beings that they've hurt, the beings that will never be born because their homes have been destroyed. They come in, have a look around, see what they can make money from, and then they leave. No apologies, no compensations, no restorations, just extraction, just taking. And that's violence. This is non-violence. This is what non-violence looks like. Watching a sunrise from a tripod, stopping millions of dollars of coal from being exported and burnt. And non-violence is a principle that we'll never waver on. I'll never waver on it. Yeah, it's vital. We'll always commit to ensuring that we're not sinking to the kind of violence that we're opposing. To me, a healthy relationship between humans and ecosystems is one in which the needs of the human being do not come at the expense of the functioning whole, and that humans can exist within a functioning whole. The current system does not privilege a functioning whole ecosystem. There's no value placed on a functioning whole ecosystem. There's only value placed on the products that can be extracted from that system. The only value is placed on what can be taken, not on the functioning ecosystem as a whole. But isn't that just like rule zero? Like, isn't that just blatantly obvious to have a higher value for a functioning healthy ecosystem rather than like a piece of timber or a piece of coal? But no, the current economic model only has value for what's extracted, and when the system collapses, whether it's a microecology of a little piece of forest or coral reef or whatever, or the macro climate collapse that we're facing, that's not in line with a functioning relationship between humans and Earth. I think a lot of people sort of start to get a bit disappointed and hateful of human beings and our place on Earth, but actually, like, I think that we're capable of being in beautiful, harmonious relationship with the planet. I don't think we're toxic innately. I don't think we're evil innately. I think the systems that we're entrenched in are toxic and evil. But human beings are beautiful and have shown for thousands and thousands of years all over the world that they can be genuine, caring, responsible custodians of country. And in the last little bit of time, on this continent at least, all that hard work's been undone. And the hard work of capitalism has taken over. And that saddens me quite a lot. Yeah. Because a functional ecosystem is the only way we can live safely, and the only way we can support life for an indefinite amount of time in the future. But actually, that's not possible if we keep going at the rate that we're going. And that's why getting in the way and creating real material disruption like this is necessary. It's not really an option anymore. Yeah, let's actually have a think about what I'm doing compared to what the extractive industries are doing. This is pretty chill. This is quite peaceful. And what they're doing is systemic and continued and sustained violence on people and country. And no matter what, we are called, told, or responded to, this is not violent. When you actually think about what happens across this beautiful continent, this is not violence. That's violence. So I think that everyone taking action should be totally comfortable, confident, and secure that what they're doing is right. And don't waver on that. And if you're interested in major economic disruption, join Blockade Australia. We'll be doing more action like this in Sydney next year, and really tackling the economic centres that are perpetuating this destruction. Right now I'm at the material sort of centre of the coal industry, but coal doesn't move unless money moves, and to actually shift the narrative of power, of meaning and of money is how we're going to really steer ourselves in the right direction. And we're not being steered really by government or corporate leadership in the right direction. We're being steered into endless growth. But actually, that endless growth, not much is growing. Like, the world is abundant as it is. The world can provide for all of our needs as it is, without the endless so-called economic growth. The real economy, which is the birds and the trees and all the food we can grow and all the water we can drink and all the tools we can make and all the beautiful aspects of creativity that we can enjoy, that's a real economy. And the earth is an abundant place for all that. It can easily support a beautiful, healthy human population. It's the way we're treating it that is going to ensure our demise. So I hope that everyone starts to really sort of shift their mindset into away from the endless growth economy and into the real economy, which is the material earth that provides for us, and shifts away from the lie that by growing our bank accounts we can grow we can meet our needs, because profit will never be more important than a functional, healthy ecosystem. So this is where I am right now, if you've just tuned in. I am sitting on a tripod. On a rail line on Warramai in Awabakal country, blocking a coal train, all coal train activities into the world's largest coal port. A place of mass destruction and mass wastage, and a real economic centre of Australia that is causing a lot more harm than good. It's the other way. Sun's actually up now. Just peeking over. It's quite a peaceful place to be. Up here. Yeah, doing direct action like this actually makes me feel safer and more empowered. Because I guess the narrative of what's right and what's wrong is beginning to crumble, and I feel quite empowered knowing that what I'm doing is in defense of the earth and what other activists around the world are doing in defense of their beautiful homelands. So that's a really nice feeling, actually. Just gonna pause, put you down for 1 sec while I rejig. Alright. Don't know how my legs are gonna go, but we'll be alright. Anyway, get some blood flow to it, hopefully. So if you're just joining, my name's Jonah, I'm 25, and I'm on a tripod blocking the rail into the world's largest coal port. This is the site of mass destruction, mass desecration, and mass extraction of an industry that doesn't need to exist anymore. It has no place in the modern economy that will actually sustain life on Earth. And it has to stop, and material resistance and real direct action is the way forward and the way we're going to do that. And you know, for a long time, like we've been listening to science, and the science has known for a very long time that fossil fuel industries must come to an end. But the machine that actually moves these products and these resources has vested interests that are too strong to listen to the science. And so no matter how much talk is done, not much action actually occurs. And power can be a hard thing to shift, but material resistance is a really strong way to do that. In fact, it's a necessary way to do that. Thanks for the lovely comments. I think what I'm doing is pretty powerful, actually. Yeah, protests and rallies have their place for mass mobilisation, but until people actually get in the way of the damage and destruction, not much is really going to change. And I guess I envision a world in which the right thing is the right way to protect and ensure a healthy ecosystem is actually a primary goal and focus of leadership, but at the moment it's not. Our leadership has other interests. I'm feeling a bit quiet right now, actually, so I'm just gonna chill. I'll keep y'all with me. Got a few guests. Birds. So this year I spent a few months protecting some native forests in New South Wales, and those forests are yet to be logged, but that's another extractive industry that refuses to face the fact that their operations are causing the deaths of millions of non-human living creatures, and driving an extinction crisis that we've never seen before. And I'd encourage everyone to support direct action forest blockading as well, because our forests are our lungs. They're our watersheds. They're our ecological diverse hubs that we actually depend on, and they're beautiful places. And the extractive fossil fuel industries are equally at odds with ensuring a healthy, diverse and beautiful world. If you're just joining, I'm on a tripod on the rail line blocking coal that is set to be exported from the world's largest coal port on Warramai in Awabakal country. I'm doing this action today because these industries won't stop until they are materially and economically disrupted. And people all over this continent who care are being disappointed continually by the lack of leadership that we're seeing, and continually betrayed, and reclaiming that power and reclaiming our ability to protect our earth in the face of a huge machine is how we're going to move forward. And so direct action is the way to do that. This whole week, this is the 11th time that this rail line has been blocked by dedicated activists who now understand that their bodies are powerful enough to get in the way of massive amounts of infrastructure that has been established and perpetuated and continues to threaten life on Earth. And it's amazing that one human body can actually do that. Because it seems that somewhere deep in our core we actually know that hat time. Hang on. Sweet. I can go all day. We actually, what was I saying? Yeah, we can actually see now that one human being is worth a lot and has a lot of value to the state and to the powers that be. And the fact that when it's in sight, when it's in plain sight that a human being is blocking destruction, things get shut down and things stop. But everything that's out of sight is often forgotten. The people whose health is affected by extractive industries, the people who down the supply chain get affected by the pollution, the people sorry, there's just a bit of chit chatter going on, and police rescue is arriving. So we'll see how much longer I got. But a lot that we can't see, we forget about, and so we're bringing to the line of sight of everyone that needs to listen and needs to see this, that we're putting our bodies in front of destruction. And I'd encourage people not just to reflect on what they can see, but also on what they can't see. And that's the nature of a globalized system, is that we can't see most of the damage that's being caused by the system, because it happens to people and non-humans in faraway places. And a holistic whole system would include those in its considerations, and would actually have an integrated understanding that the health of another is the health of oneself. So the health of the planet is not a different project to the health of an individual human being. My health is parallel to the health of the planet. But the current economic system sees one's own material wealth, and I guess in their eyes, health, as perpendicular to, or opposite to, the health of the planet. It's a taking. It's a project of taking. It's a project of extraction. But I see those two lines as parallel, and I don't see how a society of human beings can be socially and ecologically and physically and spiritually healthy if the planet around them and the ecology in which they live is not healthy. That just seems pretty blatantly obvious. And so anything that one does to ensure the health of those human and non-human beings within the biosphere around them is in a way taking action. And that's what this whole week has been about. This whole week has been about a few individuals taking action to stop an industry that is destroying the many. And this is a loving act of defiance. This is a loving assertion of our knowing that the earth can't sustain the coal industry any longer. That the earth is crying and desperately asking us to stop. Yeah. Mass action would be even better. If everyone started to realize and started to act upon their deep intuitions that a healthy planet means a healthy individual, then we'd get where we need to go a lot quicker. Got the police here now. Police rescue. There's a few of them. And Blockade Australia is getting in the way of real material economic activity that is destroying this continent, which doesn't look as beautiful right now as it used to. It's a bit beaten up and we're going to have to restore a lot. We're going to have a lot of restoration ahead of us. And we can start with stopping to extract, and stopping to burn fossil fuels. All good. Thanks. Oh. Oh. All good. Nah. Quite comfy. So, if you're just joining, I'm on a tripod blocking a rail line into the world's largest coal port, which is the site of inconceivable destruction and pollution, and you know, extracting coal from one part of the world to be transported in steel from another part of the world in ships that use oil.
Just one quick one, Jonah, is it like just you double vaccinated?
Yep.
You don't have any sickness of COVID or anything?
None of that, double vaxxed.
Just for our safety and yours.
Yeah, of course.
Hey Jonah, you've been recorded as well, so you know.
All good.
Body work video.
Been quite nice actually. And oil from another part of the world, steel from another part of the world, coal from another part of the world, all to be burnt in another part of the world for a bit of energy. And that doesn't seem like an efficient system to me. That seems like a system that that is extremely wasteful and extremely damaging, and doesn't really meet needs that couldn't be met by non-destructive activities. You know, we talk about the needs of communities that rely on this industry, and the needs of those communities are as important and can be met in an infinite number of ways that that would, I guess, incorporate strong, resilient local community based on ancient and modern ways of being. And the kind of scale that we're seeing of destruction isn't a way of being that is really coherent or really aligned with a healthy planet. You know, this way of being is a way of taking. It's a way of claiming ownership over parts of the world that have been and will be here for far longer than one human life. And claiming ownership over the world is actually quite a violent thing to do. It's, you know, every time I relinquish ownership of something, whether that's by passing it along in a gift economy, or by, you know, like seeing a beautiful shell. The other day I saw a beautiful shell, was thinking about taking it home, and then just decided to leave it where I found it, because beauty and value doesn't have to be exclusively tied to ownership. We don't have to own the world in order to appreciate it. And turning everything into money, commodifying the entire world, is not going to create beauty. It's actually going to kill beauty. You know, money kind of has a lot of power. It can provide a lot of things, but it's actually kind of got the essence and the energy of death. Everything that turns to money, everything that was once living and then now through the eyes of the mass economy is only seen for its dollar value. That kind of carries a bit of a death aroma. And I think we should reignite the true value of everything in the world, and have a community and strong communities all over the world that that don't depend on the destruction of the planet, but they actually depend on each other and on a healthy planet. Jonah thoughts are scrambling. So each one of these trains carries about 100,000 tons, 10,000 tons of coal. And that's a huge amount of infrastructure that one individual can get in the way of. And one individual getting in the way of that, when done en masse, can really make some change. And when we actually strip back all the conditions of the legal system, of the economic system, of the political system that are really not built to sustain life and ecological flourishing, we can see that this kind of action is pretty mild, actually. It doesn't seem very extreme to me to be stopping something that is pretty objectively destroying us. It's pretty objectively true that fossil fuel industries are sending us to extinction, sending all the biodiversity on this planet into threat. And so it doesn't seem that crazy to me to be doing this. And with enough people actually shifting their actions and stepping into that, we can make real change. Want to see these guys now? You know, this is actually like, this feels more right than any time that, you know, we've all been implicitly dragged into activities that might be damaging, or part of the machine that is damaging the planet. And right now I'm in like direct defiance of that, and like I can see that by, you know, the presence of police right next to me, and it feels entirely right to be doing this. Yeah, and I would say to everyone that wants to be involved in what they know is right, that you'll feel it in your body, actually, this sense of rightness. I'm feeling this real sense of rightness in my body right now. Maybe just not my leg. They actually asked me if my leg's alright. So Don't know how much they genuinely cared, but they did ask me. I'm feeling in my whole body this sense of rightness that, my body comes from this earth, and now my body is found itself up a tripod somehow. Just woke up there, and is in total alignment with the earth that it is protecting. And I think it's very easy to forget that our bodies actually are where we feel the effects of climate collapse and ecological destruction. Like, we feel them in our bodies. Climate change happens through us. Climate change happens in us. People whose health is affected, people whose lives are affected, people whose ability to grow food and sustain themselves is affected. It's not like climate change and ecological collapse happens there and we're just witnessing it. It's actually happening inside of us. And if it's happening inside of us, and it is us, then why would I not put my body in a place that or why would I not use my body in a way that that is in alignment with protecting the planet? I think that, like, the economic system just defines us by dollars, but actually we are, like, quite literally the earth, and quite literally the very carbon that I'm made of is a part of this system. And it doesn't really make much sense to be digging up old carbon, moving it to another part of the country to be shipped to another part of the world to be burnt, because humans have seemed to have lost their ability to see long into the future. I think that before we got co-opted into this extremely fast and endlessly fast way of being, which is sort of modern capitalism, we had a much sort of longer understanding of past and future. Like, we could see and feel into the past and into the future and understand things way more cyclically, whereas now we understand them really quite short term, and we can't, or at least what we're seeing from corporate and government leadership, or I should call it a marriage, not leadership. The corporate government marriage is a disability to see long term. It's only an ability to see what is going to increase a bank account, increase dollars, and not increase health, genuine holistic health of the planet. Yeah, and as we take action, we're taking action against that short-sightedness as much as we're taking action against, the physical movement of coal. This might seem extreme in the short term, but actually in the long term, this isn't very extreme. This is actually totally aligned with a long-term vision of a healthy planet. And I think that's another thing that I am processing as I sit here on this tripod, is that I suppose any fear I had prior, and I'm sure will still have, was a fear that the short-term realities of what this might mean for me are more important than the long-term benefits of doing an action like this. And the long-term benefits to the planet and myself, because as discussed, I am said planet, far outweigh the benefits or the risks of a short-term reality that might affect me in small ways. And if you are just tuning in, since I've like having a little philosophical pause, I'll just tell you what I'm doing. What I'm physically doing is sitting on a tripod on a coal rail line, blocking all coal and from entering the world's largest coal port in Newcastle on stolen Warramai and Awabakal country. Beautiful country, which doesn't look the same as it used to. Hey.
It's fair that you're not sitting in the middle of this tripod. It's raining a fair bit this way.
I'll hang out in the middle then.
Well, I think you're just hanging where you hang. So you're sitting between these two legs, this leg here, no load, so when you load down on these two legs, you get a strong breeze coming through, mate. These ropes aren't holding you back that way. All they're doing is wrapping around the train track, and that one's pulling the coal that way. So, I've given that warning, so I know you can lower yourself. I've no doubt you can lower yourself. So, we've got 3 people coming, but I'm an ETA for it.
Well, thanks for the warning. I will stay up though.
Yeah, that's your prerogative, but I'm not confident in the thickness of the metal or the strength of the structure to put a ladder up against it. There's no lateral strength in it. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no vertical strength. But as I said, you're already putting a lot of load on these two and less load on this one.
Yeah.
The wind's gusting and it's increasing, okay? These ropes here aren't working. They're working independently, they're not working together to hold the structure up. Okay? The top one's up, that's only holding the top up, but it will still fall. Okay?
Yeah, I appreciate your concern. Yeah, I'm aware. I feel quite comfortable in it.
So we'll just have to wait until people come through, alright?
Okay, I do appreciate that.
But if you need a hand to get down or I can give you the lower yourself.
I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that. And I'm going to stay up here, I think. Thank you. Oh, nothing really. Yeah. Oops. Alright, so the police seem to think that this wasn't set up very well. I think it's been set up pretty well. I think it's been set up pretty excellently. But I do appreciate their concern. And you know, I actually don't feel any like animosity or dissidence towards, I guess, you know, authorities or people in positions that are defending the interests of the kinds of systems that we're opposing. But I do feel animosity and dissidence to those systems themselves. And you know, I think it's really important that that encounter was actually like quite a human encounter, and I think that it's important that no matter what we're doing, you know, no matter what side of history we're on, we can still like see each other as human beings. And I still see everyone, including the police, as human beings. That, you know, we are in a society that cares for one another, and the only way that we're going to reshape and restructure is by showing and staying strong with that love for each other. And so I'm going to continue to see the police and everyone who might oppose this with love. What was I talking about before that? Does anyone remember? I feel like I was onto something. Oh no, I was just talking about what I'm doing. So yeah, little brain blips. There's a lot to take in up here actually. So yeah, please excuse my little Jonah blips. But I'm sitting on a tripod. That's me, that's my shadow. What can I do? Oh no, that's just gonna block it. Anyway, I'm on a tripod, blocking coal exportation in the world's largest coal port right now. And that's a pretty cool feeling because for a long time I've done what I can to ensure that my personal footprint is, a bit of a word everyone likes to use, has been lowered, and that my contribution to society is not one that that damages the planet and damages other human beings. But as individual consumers, we're not able to truly make systemic difference in our consumer capacity. The way we can do that is direct action like this, because that very notion that as an individual consumer that it's my personal responsibility to ensure that my isolated activities are not damaging the earth, that takes all the responsibility off of the corporate and government powers that are doing the most damage, and that puts it on us as individuals. And we actually need a system that has full accountability, and so the people profiting the most, which is a select few, they need to be fully accountable for the damage that they're doing. And as an individual consumer, I can make little differences, but systemic difference happens from direct action, from real material resistance. And that's what Blockade Australia is about, and that's what I'm about. And I feel that that is how we're going to make real change. And so I'll just plug Blockade Australia right now as a fucking group of legends who will continue to resist climate inaction and climate destruction. And I would encourage everyone to join our Sydney Mobilisation next year. You can find that on our Facebook, and you can share this far and wide. You can share the Blockade Australia page far and wide so that as many people who are teetering on the edge of direct action come and join. Because it's, I think in a lot of people's heads and hearts, they know what they want to do and they know what needs to be done, but it's bloody scary. It's bloody scary. It only really ticked over in me very recently to actually put my body in front of the destruction. That's a scary thing to do, because we're so convinced that our consumer choices are enough to make change, and because we're convinced that decision makers will make decisions that actually will be the right ones for a successful and healthy planet. And it's scary, and I would just encourage everyone to look at that fear dead in the eye and and you might not want to get up on a tripod, but there's plenty that can be done where you can use the best of your human capacities to actually ensure a healthy and safe planet. I feel so good. It feels so good. And it doesn't feel good in like a way of sort of like, you know, egoic satisfaction. It feels good in a collective way. It feels good in a way of like collectively resisting what's wrong. And this isn't about individuals as they are. This is about individuals taking on a system that wants us to forget who we are. Feels really nice. So yeah, join Blockade Australia. Follow us on all the socials and join us in person. Everyone want a little tour for those that have just arrived? Oh, they're taking a while actually. They seem to be chilling. So while they're chilling and I'm chilling, the Earth isn't chilling. The Earth is like straining to support us. I don't know where I'm going with that one, but yeah, like, oh no, to be honest, that one's gone. That's a Jonah thought that's probably not going to eventuate. But you know, for when you're live streaming, you got to try it. You got to experiment. You got to like any little foothold in the brain. I'm just going to try run with. So please excuse some of them that might not turn into much. Yeah, wow. Haven't talked non-stop to no one in a while. But yeah, is there anything anyone would like to ask? Just getting chiller by the minute. I grew up on Gadigal country in Sydney, and I guess growing up it was quite hard to really understand the scale and the real mechanisms that are affecting this continent in really vital ways. You know, when you live in the city, as I'm sure quite a lot of people do who are watching this, like everything kind of just arrives. Everything just arrives nice and tidy, and then you just consume it and throw it out. And I think that actually has like really toxic effects to our understanding of like what it means to like live as a being in an integrated whole. And yeah, like that took a while and will continue to take a while for me to like shed. Because I think that what that does is that really like builds one's sense of disconnect. And then when you start to really see what's being done to this continent and really start to see ecological systems being affected, and really start to like connect with nature and then realize what it means for nature to be destroyed, that starts to help you with that shedding. And yeah, being here and having now spent time in beautiful forests of New South Wales and other beautiful parts of the country, yeah, now sort of understand that like we can't leave those systems out of sight. And as an individual sort of starts to become whole within themselves, you start to understand that that the earth functions quite similar, and that a functioning whole earth, a healthy earth, pollution and rubbish, and if you move it from one part to another, it's not really gone, it's just out of sight. And I think we do the same in our minds, like, and I think that's the source of so much suffering on an individual level and a collective level. And we're doing the same thing to our ecological systems. And this is pretty much like the heart of that function, and moving massive amounts of underground resources into the atmosphere via a complex web of infrastructure is kind of like moving your trauma to another part of your body or to another part of your psyche and not really addressing it. And it's no wonder that we're so damaged as people when we're committing that same violence upon the earth. We're pretty much mirroring on a psychological level what we do on an ecological level. And I think it's quite obvious that surrendering to this greater ecological system and all that it is actually a healthy thing to do for one psychologically as well. Yeah, I think that's the end of that one. Rant number 12. Anyway, if you're just joining, let's do another little tour. So, here I am. Been here since sunrise. I'm on a tripod, sitting above the rail line, blocking the world's largest coal port, and all the coal coming from that way, which goes out into more Warramai and Awabakal country, and where coal is extracted in huge open cut mines, and then put on giant steel freight trains that the steel of which was mined in another part of the world and sent to the world's biggest coal port, where it's then exported in ships with steel from other parts of the world and oil from yet more distant lands, and then sent to other distant lands to be burnt. And that makes no sense. That's dumb. That's really, really fucking dumb. And like the statistic of a false statistic of 1.3% of global emissions come from Australia, but that is not factoring in all the exported fossil fuels, of which we are number one in coal, number one exporters of coal in the world, in a time when the climate crisis is facing us in a material and real way, and it's no longer something we can avoid or ignore. It's too real for us to ignore now, and Australia is committing a crime against the world by continuing to support its extractive industries in this way. I would say it's a crime. I would say we are criminally dooming ourselves and dooming the world and driving us to collapse, and that is a crime. Like, if anyone, you know, lived in a, like, if you could visualize that in a small micro context, and there was one major criminal in town stealing everything and chucking everything in the river, you'd call him a criminal. And Australia's doing that on the macro level, and no one's calling us, sorry, not us, no one's calling the Australian system a criminal, but the continued negligence is criminal. The continued sustained lies of economic growth and of extractive industries is a crime against the world and its people. And that's why we're standing and sitting and chilling on these rail lines, is because this is really the heart of that extraction and the heart of that destruction. Didn't bring any sun cream. Gonna have to do that. Yeah, so, you know, this kind of activity might be breaking some small laws, but when you actually think about macro law, the law of land, the law of nature, really, this isn't, I wouldn't say that this is a breaking of the law. I would say that this is a support of that law. And, you know, as humans, we have to reflect on how our system ensures that those committing the biggest crimes of destruction are protected, while those wishing to shift those systems are criminals. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of lies in that. So true. In history, we're really gonna understand what true crimes were committed in this time, when all the science and all the you know, spiritual teachings of the world are telling us that we must converge to protect the planet, and yet we're not listening. And I think that, yeah, the history will really reveal what is crime and what is not. And that's a big barrier for a lot of people, I think, is that we're, you know, conscripted into modern capitalism without consent, and told that as if we defy big powers, we will be seen and judged in the eye of the law. But law doesn't really seem to be working to combat the climate crisis. So I would like to be judged in the eyes of the land, not in the eyes of artificial laws. And I think that's, when done en masse, that can really shift power. Show. So, for anyone just joining, hello. My name's Jonah. I'm 25 from Gadigal country, currently on Warramai and Awabakal country, stolen lands that have been exploited and extracted from in a short couple hundred years after being cared for many, many thousands of years. And I'm doing what I can to protect natural law, L-O-R-E, not L-A-W. Which stands to protect community and protect the earth. Yeah. And I was describing the feelings in my body before. Physically, like slightly numb leg, but more on like a cellular level, just this real feeling of like rightness, this real feeling of truth in my body, because I suppose our bodies are vehicles that are exploited and co-opted into being a part of a system that doesn't want macro-ecological health. And I'm now using my body to realign the macro-ecological health with the activities of my individual cells. And that's what direct action is. We're bringing ourselves into I'm going to call it like a sacred fight. I don't know if that term sort of resonates with everyone, but for me it's like a sacred fight, because I suppose violence is being enacted upon this continent, and I was quite an angry child, but I really then like worked through that. I think haven't had a tantrum in a very long time, but now I feel like this is a sacred fight, and this is a fight that doesn't require a tantrum. It requires us to just take action and reclaim what is right into our own hands and to just do it. Like I said before, there was an activist this week who said to me that you don't really have to be a bureaucrat, you don't have to go through that system to create change, you can just fucking do it. And here we are, just fucking doing it. It is a beautiful morning. It's beautiful sun shining, birds singing, Jonah swinging, police chilling. That's all I got. Yeah. I hope everyone else is having a good morning. I know there's plenty of frustration to be had by consuming media, which just tells us of pretty much how fucked we are. And having conversations about how scared we are. I recently did a session of, I was a part of a group session of deep ecological grief, or exploration of ecological grief. And I didn't realize kind of how strong that was, and how much that had been suppressed within my own body, and I'm sure within a lot of others, that it's actually quite hard to feel into the full experience of ecological collapse. And in a safe space, I was given a safe space with a group of people to do that, and we were all shattered, like absolutely shattered, in tears and in agony, really. And yeah, that really nailed it in for me, that the experience of the earth is happening within our bodies as well. It's not just happening externally. And it was quite confronting to actually see how much grief I held for the death of the planet, and the death of all the non-human living beings around. It was very, very confronting, and we came out of that really in a positive way. We came out of that session with an immense sense of positivity that we as bodies, as members of this earth, can actually step in the right direction and align ourselves with truth. And truth is that we are nothing without a healthy planet. And so that's what I am going to commit my body to be doing for the rest of my life, and ensure that the needs of my body are not privileged over the needs of non-Jonah beings. And I think that I'm nothing without the non-Jonah beings, and whoever you are, you're probably nothing without the non-you beings. And so sacrifice is like, it's not even sacrifice to give up on old systems. It's actually like, it will actually be way more abundant if we, and wealthy, truly wealthy, if we are in harmony with the earth. We won't be abundant and wealthy by turning the earth into dead money, just to buy more shit. We'll actually be abundant and wealthy when we have healthy, strong, resilient communities and a healthy planet. And so that's kind of what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and I hope you do too, in many different ways. Not just, this. This is a pretty fun way, gotta say, but there's plenty of other ways. And so, if you do like what you're seeing, join Blockade Australia for Sydney Mobilisation next year. June 27th, I believe, will be the start of a mass mobilisation against the major forces of ecological destruction, which is the market economy. And Sydney is the place where most of the money is moved. This is the heart of where coal is moved. This is the material heart, but the economic heart in Sydney is how this all all happens. And so I would encourage everyone to support in any way you can for Blockade Australia's Sydney Mobilisation, and any local activist group that you can be a part of that's fighting for change. I would encourage it. I think there's like a few dimensions to kind of what it means to do this kind of action. One of them is sort of defense, in that this kind of direct action is defending country and defending the earth, and the other is creating. Like, I think that all the projects that we are witnessing of creating change, creating resilient food systems, local food systems, and local manufacturing systems that really attuned to the real needs of the people in which they serve. And that's an act of creation. And so I think that everyone it would benefit from having like those two real dimensions in their life. Like, that's kind of how I'm sort of structuring my life at the moment. Is a lot of, like, half of it is, I guess, like defending, holding ground, holding space for the earth and nature to do its thing, which it knows best, and the other is creating and using my human innovation to be a part of creative solutions. And so, yeah, like, crumbling a system isn't the only thing we need to be doing as humans. We also need to be creating. Like, humans are incredible in our ability to create and innovate, and to defend country is equally as important as to create. And I would say that, as I just did. Alright, someone has asked for another little tour, so I am with Blockade Australia on top of a tripod. Boop boop. 1, 2, 3. Tripod. On a rail line blocking all coal trains from entering the world's largest coal port, to send massive amounts of stolen goods to distant lands to be burnt for energy, for parts of the world that have no connection to this country and are deeply entrenched in globalized economic wastage systems that are not really designed to meet the needs of local communities, but are designed to profit and to commodify the entire world. And so what I see right now is some police surrounded by some rail workers and surrounded by some trees that are still standing and have probably witnessed millions of tons of coal move past. We haven't even spoken to them this whole time. I haven't even spoken to them. Been here for like 2 hours. How are you guys doing? They've probably seen some shit. Yeah, they've probably like had a lot of other friends that were like chopped down in order for this rail line to be built, and they're still standing, and they're like, I'm sure, horrified by the insane amount of coal that they've seen transported along these rails that they probably would never have encountered if it weren't for mass human infrastructures of greed. So yeah, shout out to the trees. Shout out to some grasses really trying to push through these rails. I think they're doing a good job. Or maybe that one's not an active rail. Oh no, I think it's active. And yeah, some grass is shining through. I wonder how long it would take for like this to just totally recover to the kind of country it once was. Probably quite a while. I mean, not in the scale of like you know, Earth's timelines, but in our scale, it would be quite a long time. Alright, I'm rambling again. You know what happens when I'm rambling? Going on those little brain blips. But yeah, I'm having a great time. Put any sun cream on, but I will have a snack now. I think I've got a bounce ball somewhere. Where are ya? Yeah, I'm wearing a jumper, a fleece that I found in a dumpster. Just yet another fucking flaw of the mass economic system, that wastage is built into the system. This fleece is keeping me warm. I found it in a dumpster of a supermarket that, yeah, with like, you know, half a dumpster full of other clothes, and it's like made up a decent chunk of my wardrobe. So corporate wastage is another big issue. But I'm gonna eat this bounce ball. And I'll talk to the cops while I'm doing that. Pretty good. I think this might also be a dumpster food. That's another thing you can do. Just like find your nearest dumpster and feed yourself from there. I guarantee like more than half your calories, unless you live quite remotely, you could find them in a bin. In a corporate bin. Thanks for waiting with me while I eat this bounce ball. They seem to be pretty slow today, so I was thinking of not eating, but I'm getting a bit hungry. I wonder what they're doing. Oops. Now I'm trying to drink from a water bottle while holding this on a tripod. Not the easiest. Okay. Alright. Should keep me going. Haha. Okay. Hey everyone. My name is Jonah. I'm 25 and I'm taking real action against climate destruction perpetuated by the deeply wedded corporate and government structures that refuse to listen and refuse to respond to the climate crisis. With Blockade Australia, who have a vision that is so so beautiful in that it really re-empowers individuals who otherwise feel helpless to in the face of climate collapse to take action, and everyone involved is doing what's right. So yeah. Hmm. Sorry, just chilling for a minute. Nice sunshine. Ah, love to sing a song. Give me a song, Daisy. How about um? Well, I woke up this morning thinking about that song, um, "Waiting on the World to Change," and it wasn't. It was quite, yeah. I think when that song was made, it was quite pertinent. Like, but the time to wait's kind of over. So we keep on waiting, waiting on the world to change. And I woke up from a dream this morning, right before I came here. Oh, I'd love to talk about that. So right before my alarm went off, I woke up from a dream that I was like with a bunch of friends on this pristine, crystal clear river. And it was like feeding time for the penguins. And like, there were so many flying fish and penguins, like just, feeding, and people fishing and people drinking the water, and me and my friends laughing. And then like literally that was interrupted by my alarm. And then I woke up to the reality of what I'm about to do, or what I was about to do, which is this. And was, yeah, totally, totally kind of shook out of my dreamscape. And that actually launched me into today's action. And I think that that was a beautiful way to start the day. I don't know, the dream fairies must have been like just setting me up for an empowered action, because yeah, I guess that world is seeming more and more unreachable. Like, that world is seeming more and more difficult to envision, because so many places are being destroyed and affected beyond recognition by human activities. And that kind of, like that kind of I don't even know if penguins feed in rivers, but you know what the brain does when you're sleeping, who knows. But that kind of penguin river, like, doesn't I don't see pristine landscapes like that being a part of a future in which fossil fuels are still operating, and I don't see penguin rivers being a part of a world in which extractive industries are diverting river systems and extracting timber from native forests and tearing apart like the very foundations of our living systems on Earth. And so, like, when I launched out of bed from the side of the river in my dream into like my alarm, and then knowing that I was about to do this, I was like launched into action and felt like that there's a reason that I had that dream, and that was to remind me of what I'm fighting for. I don't know why penguins, like I like them, but you know, never been like a huge penguin fan, but they're pretty cool. And someone's asking about sort of climate change awareness. And climate change awareness is, I mean, like, I think that awareness is less of the issue as like suppression and political inaction. I think the only way someone now could not be aware is if they're in denial. And even so, they're aware. I think denial is actually really a problem that we're having to combat, and not just denial in the sense of denying that climate change is happening, but denying our roles in our political and economic roles in that process, and cognitively disassociating. I just heard a train. Just heard a train horn. Bit of a worry. I think it's all good. Yeah, like cognitively disassociating from the reality of human interference with natural systems. Hang on, I'm like sus on this train now. I can still hear it. Should be good. Anyway, and yeah, like cognitive dissonance is like built in to our massively externalized economics. The system means that most of the operations of everything we consume happen out of sight and out of mind, and so of course we're going to cognitively dissociate. Like, of course we're not going to be able to fully like feel and understand the implications of our entire supply chains, like on an individual level. But that's because we're like too far from the source of our food. We're too far from where our rubbish ends up. We're too far from the source of all the minerals that are extracted and used, and we're too far away from each other. Like, at least on a heart level, like we might have modern means of communication, but I think we're all like way too far away from each other, psychologically and emotionally. And that reunion of like individual belonging to place and just got a notification. Yeah, I keep banging on about localization because I really think localization is like a key solution. All good. Yeah. Pretty chill. Nothing too bad. Okay. I mean, plenty of movement. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it's quite nice actually. Yeah.
Just be mindful, they're not cold.
Mm.
If you've got far to fall, but it will hurt you.
Should be sweet.
Just want to lower down a little bit
Nah.
now. A little bit off the ground, a bit more.
Nah. Sorry. Other human to human interaction with the police. That's how I see it, at least. Like, I don't know. Everyone, like, at their core is got some rightness in them, and so I'm quite fine that police rescue officer is trying to get me to come down. Probably is a bit concerned for my safety, but I'm more concerned for the safety of the planet, so I'm gonna stay. I'll stay up here. Can't remember what I was talking about, but tour time? Okay. So if you're just joining, my name's Jonah, and I'm on a tripod on a rail line on Warramai in Awabakal country, which was stolen and is continually exploited and extracted from under the colonial powers of Australia. And I've brought all coal trains to a standstill in the Hunter region, where coal is extracted from and shipped and trained to the world's largest coal port. And I think it's been, what's the time? It must be perhaps. And yeah, that means for 3 hours there have been no arrivals of trains to the world's largest coal port. So all that coal has been stopped. And that is a form of material resistance of real action to protect the climate and to really make it known that the fossil fuel industry that is Australia has no place in a modern future, and that the people of Australia have had enough of the lies that we're going to work towards some sort of climate action when actually our government is pretty much a subsidiary of the fossil fuel companies, pretty much owned by corporate interests. And what we see is charades and facades, and what we see is embarrassment on the world stage, and shame, really, like shameful claims of care when leaders from our Pacific neighbours are sharing the stage with us, and crying about the loss of their countries and the loss of their homelands. And the heartlessness of continuing activity, continuing fossil fuel activity coming out of Australia is quite shocking, and it's not what me and many others align with. We're actually in fundamental opposition to that. So that's why we're here. And this is the 11th time this week that these rail lines have been blocked. It's pretty much been continual. And that's pretty awesome. A link has just been posted to support Blockade Australia financially. There's also links for future mobilisations, and I would encourage everyone to jump on those and support in any way you can, because Blockade Australia is really on the front line, and yeah, we need support, physical bodies to join in defending country. Yeah, like, don't want to talk too much about COP26, but I was definitely like just cringing the entire time while watching our so-called leadership just spill lie after lie. And the actions that we're doing are actually making more of a statement than our so-called leadership ever could about, their so-called care for the planet and so-called care for our future, because it's quite clear that their interests lie in cold, dead money, and their interests lie in digging up and commodifying the earth so that they can have some short-term projects fulfilled, while the long-term holistic understanding of Earth and of human relationship to the Earth is yeah, it's forgotten and goes by the wayside. And so, like I said earlier, like, you know, this kind of action might seem like, in some degree, extreme, but when you take stock, objectively think about, like, what's extreme? Is it people like me chilling on a tripod watching the sunrise, or is it the continued and murderous extraction and destruction of sacred country in the interest of profit? Yeah, like, which is more violent? The principles of non-violent direct action stand strong and have stood strong in campaigns for a very long time. And yeah, I truly believe that, like, non-violent direct action is at its core how we will create change in a material way, but also we'll bring that change about with an open heart, and we will bring that change about not by responding to the systemic violence just with more violence. We'll bring that about by, like, replacing that with love, and that's why this is an act of love. And yeah, that feels very close to my heart. And breeze is picking up. Rotating a little bit, which is nice. If you are just joining, give me 1 sec to get comfy. And then I'll explain where I'm at. So yeah, I'm above a rail line. There's plenty of police. Seem to be slowly sorting their shit out. And beautiful Worimi and Awabakal country surrounding me. Which I'm sure and I feel is supporting me in this action and supporting everyone who's taking real climate action. And I don't know if that's an experience that is relatable to the major extractors and destroyers of nature. I don't know if they actually know what it feels like to I don't know if they know what it feels like to actually have, like, the whole of the whole world, like the actual, you know, like, ecological world behind you, and to actually be in love with it and aligned with it. Sounds a bit cheesy, but, like, now's the time for cheese, you know. I don't do this every day, so bear with my cheese. But yeah, like, that is a really amazing feeling to have the whole world behind you, even if, you know, there's small voices that say that the world's not behind you. They are just chilling. I don't know. Looks like a pretty chill job to me. Why can't we all just chill? All fucking digging the earth up. Just do this all day. But that's a beautiful experience. That's a sacred experience to chill, but also to feel the love of nature, just giving you a little boost. And I think that like I think we'll have a world in the future in which we're all like totally like in love with the world again. It's quite hard to like feel that love all the time, like especially for the human world, because it is a source of so much destruction. It is a challenge, but I really make an effort to like ensure that I keep that love for all human beings and all living beings, because otherwise, what are we fighting for? Yeah. Oh, there's an ibis like so high. I've never seen an ibis that high. No bins up there, buddy. Nah, good on him. Yeah, that's my vision. So, just trying to sift the brain for some cheese. What have I got? I think I was talking about localization before. Let's talk a bit about that. So, localization is, I guess, a counter effect of localization is the counter of globalization. Boom. And globalization serves its purpose. Like, you know, it's great that we can access and learn from cultures all over the world. It's great that we can share wisdom all over the world. And some materials that are needed to be shared. Like, trade is a beautiful thing. But I think for the large part, we're like in an insane system of wastage. And we've globalized to the point where like communities aren't whole anymore, and people don't feel safe unless they're being instructed by major hierarchical systems that are way beyond their understanding to tell them how to live. And globalization also separates us from each other in a lot of ways, at least in the way that globalization is occurring now. And so localization is like a beautiful way that we can strengthen our like local communities, and our local material worlds as well. So like the way we move food around, the way we move resources around, the way we move everything around, really, the way we move ourselves around. You know, our cities are designed like these sprawling mega cities of just white picket fences and everyone dependent on a car, and no real shared community spaces, and food that's trucked in from thousands of kilometers away. And I wouldn't really say that that's a very integrated system. And obviously, you know, not everything can be sourced locally, but as much as we can, restructure our economy such that we're meeting our needs locally. We're meeting as many of our needs as possible locally, and we're not replacing them with money, and we're not externalizing and commodifying our human creativity and our beautiful earth into money, and then relying on working like pretty much all the time in order to pay for things that we used to once be able to share and sustain ourselves communally. I think that that's a real sad reality, and I don't think that that's the fault of people who have to work all the time in order to feed themselves. I think that's the fault of a system that's designed to put us to work in such a way and distract us from what it really means to be a human being. So I envision a world in which like that's not the way we live. Yeah. Oh, thanks to everyone who's commenting. It's been really nice to bounce off them. What else you got, brain? Yeah. All right, let's have a tour. So, my name is Jonah, and I'm on a beautiful metal structure called a tripod above another metal structure, which, I don't know, some could say it's beautiful, but the things it transports are not beautiful because this is the main rail line into the world's largest coal port, in which, shamefully, Australia is still using at its capacity and still extracting from massive open cut mines on Warramai and Awabakal country to ship the contents of that, the stolen contents of that earth, to other faraway parts of the world to be burnt and to choke our atmosphere even further. And that's a big tragedy because I think the essence of this country is not to, the essence of this beautiful continent is not to be a criminal on the world stage, but to actually be a beautiful part of the world. And there's certain vested interests that are not allowing that to be the case, and they're actually making coal from this part of the world a major contributor to climate collapse. And that's actually taking away the sovereignty of the people who have cared for this land for thousands and thousands of years. By repurposing this land in a way that is causing major damage to the planet. This land is not meant to be repurposed for that. And I'm not a custodian of this land, but it's certainly true that this land is not as healthy as it was, and most parts of this continent are not as healthy as it once was. And that's due to extractive industry. So it's quite arrogant to actually repurpose million-year-old carbon into momentary flickers of energy in faraway places at the expense of the global climate. That's a very sad reality. And yeah, I'm kind of just feeling into the pain of that, because that's like a really painful experience for the land, but also for the people. And the pain of First Nations people has been felt since these lands had begun to be used in ways that are not healthy, and communities affected in ways that are not healthy to feed a system that's not healthy. And I find that very, very sad. So, yeah. Just fixing my legs. Okay. Feeling good. They brought a paramedic. Keep talking about my leg as if it's like actually an issue. I should just clarify, like my leg's totally fine, just a bit uncomfortable, and I don't know, maybe I'm not the strongest pain tolerance, but it's fine. It's still moving. But I do appreciate the paramedics being here. I hope they're not wasting any of their time. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't spoken about it in a while, but let's go back to the body. I kind of feel this real sense of peace in my body. Yeah, particularly like sort of the, I don't know, this is like, the culmination of all the fears I've been feeling since I planned to do this action. And those fears have kind of evaporated now that I'm actually doing it, because I know that this is the right thing to do, and this is actually giving me power that I haven't had before, or that I haven't exercised before. So, yeah, like I feel really great, and really, really peaceful, and I can see how stepping into.
Check on your welfare again, mate.
Oh, hey, thanks.
Again, mate, you know you're trespassing, so you would like you to come down if you would. So you're prepared to come down?
No.
So I'm just going to get the ambo to ask a few questions to make sure your welfare's all right. Okay.
Sure. Hello. Hi. Yeah, very, very good. All good up here. Yeah. Just a little tight, but plenty of movement. That's all I'm gonna say. My leg's fine. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Nah, I'm fine. Plenty of movement. Do appreciate it. All right, will do. Thanks. So nice. Actually really lovely. I'd love to talk to them about like why I'm actually here. I mean, I'm sure they're watching the live stream anyway, but like, I'd love to actually sit down with, yeah, with non-activists more and really talk to them about the world and the state of affairs. Because I think, you know, everyone like pretty objectively would care about living in a healthy world. And I'm sure that a lot of the people down below me do. Yeah, so just so everyone knows, they've been super lovely to me. Yeah, which I'm grateful for. Probably not the case for everyone. And anyway, stop talking about them. Yeah, so it's a bit windy now. And I'm feeling, yeah, safe and peaceful as ever, actually. Yesterday was harder than today, so far at least. I guess because yesterday was a process of confronting my smallness in this giant mega system, and today is realizing my bigness. And feels pretty cool. But again, like that, yeah, I feel big not in a way of some sort of egoic validation, but this could be anyone up here, but big in the sense that one small fallible human body can actually do something like this and stop this much coal for this long. Like that's kind of what amazes me. It's nothing to do with me. It's more to do with the power of real resistance and direct action. So yeah, I'd encourage anyone who wants to feel that feeling to find a way to get involved, because there's plenty of ways, and joining Blockade Australia is a bloody great one. A very, very good way to get involved. Yeah, because Blockade Australia is like taking action for this continent, but in seeing a very distinct separateness between this continent and the system of Australia that is degrading and oppressing and destroying this continent, and resisting climate inaction, and actually perpetuating climate destruction. That's a very different thing to this continent and the land and the peoples it supports, and the love that is felt for this continent, and actually having those two things quite like separate allows me to yeah, fall back in love with like with a world that I know is inherently beautiful, but is being mistreated by particular systems, and we can fall out of love with those systems, but remain deeply, deeply in love with the world. And I think that that's a really important balance to hold. That's a really important balance to strike. because if not for love of the world, then why fight the systems that are not based on love, you know? So that's kind of my, I guess that's probably my core message. um, yeah, like it's just pure love, really. Yeah. And brain pause. Give me a minute. Oh, hey, Kath. It's true. All we need is love, really. Like, not a narrow kind of love. Like, not a love for money, but a love for love itself and for people and for the earth and just actually being love, not like having a narrow definition of it um, and only thinking that love is accessible via material acquisition. Because anytime I acquire something, I and come to own it, I feel less love than when I'm actually just in relationship to it. So being in relationship with the world, in a healthy relationship with the world, is very different to owning the world. And I think we see the same sort of mechanism of owning the world as we do of the way people treat each other and the way hierarchies of people exist. And yeah, like, you know, people's time is owned by the corporate systems in which they're entrenched, and that's not right, because our time is our time is free and free to do real work that has meaning. And I think that the way we, like, you can almost map exactly the way we treat the earth to the way we treat each other, because as said, I don't know, maybe an hour ago now, like, we are the earth. And so we are she is I. And so if we allow systems to continue that that are based on ownership and acquisition and declaring parts of the world as mine, then we are perpetuating systems that will declare other people and their time and their and other people as belonging to us, and that's not healthy relationship. That's ownership. And so I mean, all that we are is relationship. And we all probably know how mistreating someone turns out. We all probably know how mistreating the earth will turn out, but we're too afraid to, like, face that reality head on in our economic system. So people have to take direct action to actually face that. And it's a sad reality, but that's where we're at, particularly in Australia. just reading the comments and really appreciating that people are resonating with this. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, how about I talk about a couple campaigns I was involved in this year. So, there's a few forests that are being decimated in New South Wales right now. In Ourimbah State Forest, they've just approved 20 more years of logging. Even though Ourimbah State Forest is like one of the refuges that didn't get hit by the fires, and it's a refuge that a lot of wildlife has had to flock to because of so many destroyed forests in the bushfires, and it's a vital watershed for the whole Central Coast, and that forest is going to be logged. So Camp Ourimbah was set up this year to combat that, and it's an ongoing campaign. So I'd encourage everyone to support Camp Ourimbah in our fight to protect Ourimbah State Forest from imminent logging. And I've also been a part of the Newry State Forest Blockade, which was established pretty much with the same objectives to protect Newry State Forest up in the Bellingen Shire. And that as well as an ongoing campaign. And so I'd encourage everyone to look into their local forest, look into the harvest plans, and see if there's any resistance to active logging, because yeah, the logging agreements have not taken into consideration the effects of climate change, the effects of mass extinction, the effects of the bushfires. They're just going on business as usual. So that's really close to my heart, because the forest has been a real place of healing for me, and it's vital for a healthy Australia, or a healthy landmass that we live on. So yeah, forests, shout out. Also, yeah, there's been a few new coal projects approved in this last couple months. Particularly Russell Vale coal mine expansion, the potential expansion of the Rylestone, or the potential exploration of coal in the Rylestone region, which is absolute madness considering we're in climate collapse. And these projects are being approved left, right, and centre because the fossil fuel companies have such a grip on our government and their approval mechanisms and their I'm having a mental blank. But yeah, despite real climate resistance, there is continued approvals of more coal, endlessly more coal, and this is a fight for the future, someone just said. That's exactly what we're doing. So, for new people, I'm about 8 or 9 meters up in a tripod across a rail line into the world's largest coal port. It's kind of fun up here, actually. It's like nice chill breeze, nice chill cops, nice chill Jonah, and an increasingly warming planet, not so chill. So yeah, I don't know, there's a lot of chilling, but as a whole, we're kind of boiling. And that's why I'm here. Finding some way to spin every little brain blip into a climate reference. But here we are, chilling on a boiling planet. And yeah, that's a really sad reality that we're all facing together. We're facing it together. Yeah, we're not facing it in isolation. And I'm alone right now up here, but I feel the weight and support of every activist and everyone who cares, and actually every living being, even those who don't care. I feel their support because yeah, this has to be done. So for the health and well-being, not just of those who care, but for those whose do you mind if I talk about souls? For those whose souls have been like damaged by a system that yeah, just seeks to rob from them. And so yeah, even those who are part of the destruction, implicitly, explicitly, complicitly, yeah, still got love for them. And I hope that like we can create a world in which the things that damage them and the things that drove them to their levels of greed and selfishness are actually like not a part of how we function, and that there'll be less people like that because there'll be more healthy communities, and people's needs can be met without the onerous burden of acquiring the world, of just continual acquisition. And it's funny how we think that we're like endlessly growing our economy when like the world is incredibly abundant and like perfectly able to sustain us healthily, but yet we only think that we're going to be safe and secure if we like acquire more money. It's like, what? The world's got everything we need. And like it's just so silly. I think that like it's pretty clear that comes from fear, hey? Like that we're afraid that the world won't be able to provide for us, and so we think we have to declare it as our own, and force it willing with our will to provide for us. But we don't need to own the world. We just need to be in healthy relationship with the world. And looks like the cherry pick is arriving. So keep going as long as we can. There it is. Maybe just one last little tour then. Oh, I don't know. Might take them a while. Who knows? Cops have been chilling, so maybe they'll have a smoker or something. Yeah. So I'm on a tripod in the world's largest, on a rail line to the world's largest coal port, and this is direct action to block the fossil fuel industry on Warramai and Awabakal country. And I would encourage everyone to take as much action as they can. No comment. No comment.
Wendy's representative of the rail corporation. He's going to give you another direction to leave if you refuse to leave your hand the operation over the last 2 tips down. You understand that?
My name's Darren Wills, mate. I'm the track supervisor in charge of Blues Mines here for the network. Looking to understand the direction of the parts of the mine property. It's maintained by us as private operators and run coal, freight and these things. So your action today is impacting on your safety and the safety of others and the safety of the rail network. So I'm just asking you on behalf of ARCC whether you're prepared to come down of your own free will to vacate the rail corridor.
No comment.
One more time, or I'm going to direct you now. Come down from that location with your own free will. Can you come down? Of course, you're flying the lane, and they're going to take action to have you removed, and you will be arrested and escorted and taken to site. Taken back to the police station with action taken against you in regards to your trespassing on the street. I understand that. Right. Thanks, Jonah. Wait a minute. If you need anything between now and then, you're safe.
Oh, thanks. All right. Got the word from them. There's a fair few cars now. There's a cherry picker. There's the rail line. And hey, buddy. Perfect. And there's me. Well, guess I'll hang out with you till the last minute. It's been a really empowering day, actually. It's the first time I've done anything like this, and it feels like a real release of all the fears that have been conditioned into us of compliance and of being told that the only way to make change is to wait. Because clearly waiting has not been fruitful. The gig is up, so it's now or never. And yeah, now is when I'm ready to go now. I'm ready to take action now. So surely everyone, a lot of people watching this are ready to take action, and just know that it feels really good. Like you're probably feeling more fear now than you will when you actually do it. I feel great, and I think you will too if you do something like this. So yeah, support Blockade Australia and be with us in this journey, and take your own journey to blockading the systems that are wreaking havoc on the planet and wreaking havoc on the people that inhabit this planet. So yeah, much love. I'm going to end this live stream now, I guess. And yeah, just remember, this is all for love. This is love. This is a big act of love. And yeah, that's about it. Bye.